AEW Grand Slam has just gone off the air. You know what that means. It's time to walk into some mayhem. Wednesday night Madness is on the air. Welcome to the show, everybody. It is good old Meth Michael Fletcher alongside Anthony Florio. Well, AEW Grand Slam was definitely a lot of madness and mayhem, we'll say that. But before we do that, we got to get into NXT, and we'll do that right now. Of course, last night from the WWE Performance Center, the the CWC, the Capitol Wrestling Center in Orlando, Florida. Started out with a promo segment by the NXT Women's Champion Becky Lynch, followed and interrupted by Tiffany Stratton, and also had Kiana James coming out. Look, this was a fun segment. This was a really good segment to start the show, and a nice little vocal exchange between Tiffany Stratton and Becky Lynch. But I kind of felt like Becky was better in this one. But this was formulaic a little bit. Didn't go really crazy. Not a lot of anything that would have made us say wow. But it was still good for what it was worth. It was still a solid opening, and I can't say anything bad about it. So yeah, nothing more to say. Anthony Floyo, solid open to the show.
100% agree. NXT is leaning into the time it has with Becky Lynch. She is working every week and pushing her competition to step up to her. The crowd went wild for her and finally committed to booing the obvious heel Stratton. The center of the universe is still showing continued inconsistency on the mic, but she didn't lose her confidence at least. It's surprising that NXT is already pushing for a rematch between the two women, but it will be a guaranteed great contest. The man recited a personalized poem about her future challengers. The crowd did not know how to react to the unique rhymes. Becky Lynch did not mince her words when she called Stratton a better fighter than a talker. And those really were the... And then Ilya Dragunov promised he would be ready for his rematch with Carmelo Hayes, and he then ceded the mic to Becky Lynch, who challenged Tiffany Stratton and Kiana James to a handicap match. We'll get into that later on. But solid opening segment. I 100% agree. And now, MF, we move on. Ever since this Global Heritage Invitational tournament started, there was one match in particular on the Group A side that we have been dying to see since this thing started. Last night, we finally got to see it.
We finally got to see it, and it finally happened. Butch, a.k.a. Pete Dunne, went one-on-one with Tyler Bate, the winner of the bout, in 11 minutes. 49 seconds. Yes, unofficially, we didn't know this, but there was only 11 seconds left on the clock of that 12-minute time limit because nothing was addressed. We didn't even know it, but the winner of Group A, Butch, he goes to the final. He will be fighting for a shot at the Global Heritage Invitational, which in turn would give him the opportunity at the Global Heritage Cup, currently held by Noam Dar. But he wins it. He won Group A. Anthony, it is all yours. 11:49.
4 stars for me. While Butch and Tyler Bate have had better matches, they keep a consistent quality, and it has been too long since they have clashed. They brought it all over 11 minutes, and they could have had 3 times as long. The Bruiserweight needed to win here to make the tournament matter. Bate can get a shot at Noam Dar anytime, but Butch is likely to return to the main roster soon. He needed a spotlight for his impressive work. The big, strong boy showed once again why he may be too good for NXT at this point. He could steal the show on Raw or SmackDown at any time. At the 10-minute mark, Butch reversed the Tyler Driver 98 into one of his own. Bate reversed the bitter end into a DDT, followed by his own bitter end for a near fall. And Butch got his knees up to counter the spinning boy, followed by the bitter end for a shocking near fall. Excellent match. This was the show stealer of the tournament so far. Solid 4 stars for me. I may be overrating it, but I don't give a damn. It's a 4-star match as far as I'm concerned. So there isn't much more to say. MF Butch, the winner of Group A, and he awaits the Group B winner next Tuesday night for the right to face Noam Dar at No Mercy for the Heritage Cup.
Yeah, no doubt about it. 4 stars, definitely a great matchup. I know a lot of people are going to be all angry about the fact that no Dempsey versus Axiom fight. Well, guess what? The fight doesn't even matter anymore because with Butch winning that match, it basically made the Dempsey versus Axiom basically null and void. I mean, there's no way you're going to catch them. So basically, the match is officially over. Now, if Bate would have won the fight, I mean, maybe you can say, all right, there's still a shot, because the only way that it probably would have been where maybe there's a chance is if you would have gone, I don't know, maybe if the fight would have ended at a draw, then maybe you get then you could still have a little bit of a situation here. But with everything that went down, with everything that played out, Butch winning it gives him the 5 points, 2 victories and a draw. At that point, it's game over. There's no other way to do it. So that's amazing, man. Big ups and a big situation there. Great matchup. So yeah, there's really nothing more to say, and we move on to, and here's the other fight. This is it. So it was our Joe Coffey versus Duke Hudson. Winner of the bout was Duke Hudson. He actually now got the 2 points. That gave him the 4, but that actually led us to a little bit of a mess a little bit here, because all of a sudden 3 out of the 4 guys ended up getting 4 points respectively. So we had ourselves a little bit of a tussle here that we gotta figure out. So we'll figure it out later in the evening. I'm a little surprised that Duke Hudson won the match. I think that's the big thing. But we'll give credit where credit's due. It was an all right match. I mean, I could give this about maybe 2.5 stars. It was a short bout, but Anthony, as you saw in the breakdown in Group B, boy, do we have a problem. 3 men all have 4 points.
No problem. 3-way match.
Yeah,
that's how you do it. We're gonna have ourselves a 3-way match with those 3 guys later in the night. So, what was the time of the fall on that one?
4 minutes.
2 stars. That's the best I can do. I'm sorry. It would have been nice to see a longer bout, but it was still a solid sprint. The surprise result made things interesting. It was an odd move to have a tiebreaker runoff in a tournament this long, but the match was certain to be good. Of the 3 men remaining in Group B, Nathan Frazier is the most high profile, but Joe Coffey and Duke Hudson could use the spotlight more. Joe escaped outside after Hudson began to build back momentum. He caught the MVP on the apron and then planted him with a missile dropkick. After the surprise result, Frazier was hyped backstage for a triple threat tiebreaker. He sprinted off to prepare. So, best I can give this is solid 2. So, but there you have it. 3-way match. Coffey, Hudson, Frazier, with the winner to meet Pete Dunne, or Butch rather, in that final tournament match to determine Noam Dar's challenger for No Mercy in the Heritage Cup. So with that being said, MF, we move on. Set me up for whatever the next relevant thing is here.
Lola Vice going 1-on-1 with Roxanne Perez. Roxanne Perez wins in 4.5 minutes. So Anthony, it's yours.
2.5 stars. The goal was to elevate Vice without taking away from Roxanne. Match certainly served its purpose. This is the best Lola Vice has looked so far, highlighting her MMA background throughout. The Prodigy could have gotten in more offense here, but with 4 minutes, the two knew it was important to showcase the favorite in the women's breakout tournament. Roxanne Perez offered to tag up with Becky Lynch after her match, but her shoulder was too bruised for the man to let her. So that was a little thing after the bout. But 2.25, 2.5. That's about as high as I can go for this one. So outcome never in doubt. But I'll say this, MF, Lola Weiss looked solid in defeat. I say this was her best outing yet so far.
Yeah, best outing yet, no doubt. I'll go about maybe two and a quarter. I'll give that. I thought it was fine for what it was worth. Could have been better in certain areas, but I'm not too mad about it. Yeah, and with that said, we actually now continue the whole thing. So next up on the show, we had was Dominic Mysterio versus Carmelo Hayes, champion versus champion. And it was, now, there's a little bit of some confliction here. Some are calling it a no contest. I actually have it here as Dominic Mysterio, the winner via disqualification at 9 minutes and 11 seconds. So, if it is the case, it's 2.5 to 3. It's a solid match. I don't know how to even rank it, so I'll give it the 2.5 to 3. Leave it at that, and Anthony, it's yours.
2.5 to 3 as well. This was a solid, if unspectacular, performance from both men. Mello and Dom started off quickly, but the action could not keep that pace once the bell rang. These two did not have enough chemistry to sell the time they got. Neither man could afford to lose, so NXT took the cop-out finish. While Dominic can hold this over Mello, the prospect of these two fighting again is not all that exciting. Next week, NXT needs something bigger for Mello versus Dragunov. This feud should feel bigger, but Becky Lynch has taken some of their spotlight. Earlier in the night, Mysterio tried to convince Trick Williams they were alike and should work together. Dirty Dom attacked Mello before the bell, but the A-Champ fought right back. The referee barely found time to start the bout. Mysterio caught Mello with a 619. The A-Champ ducked his frog splash attempt. Then both tumbled to the floor. And backstage, Schism tried to recruit Trick Williams, but he wasn't interested. In an interview later, Mustafa Ali decried Dragon Dragon Lee getting a North American title shot before him. And on his way out, Mello warned Dragunov that he would put him in his place. They're going to have a contract signing next week. And it's too bad Michael Bullock's not here, because I would always do this little JBL thing with him. I would be like, yeah, yo, Bullock, JBL, we all know how this is going to go. It ain't going to end well. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens. So solid 2.5 to 3 because of the finish. So not much more to say, except now, MF, we move on to that big tiebreaker, Global Heritage Invitational for the right to face Butch next week.
Yeah, it was Duke Hudson, Joe Coffey, and Nathan Frazier, winner of the bout in 12 minutes and 22 seconds. The winner of Group B is Joe Coffey of Gallus. So it will be, it's going to be Joe Coffey from Scotland versus England, Butch or Pete Dunne. And the winner gets to fight at No Mercy for the Heritage Cup. Anthony, it's yours.
The real Group B final was significantly better and more involved than the first sprint. This was wild action, showcasing what makes Nathan Frazier so special. He constantly pushed the pace in this bout. That is not to take away from either of the other competitors. Duke Hudson delivers every time when playing to the crowd, and Joe Coffey looked better in this match than he has for his entire NXT run so far, delivering with a varied moveset. Joe Coffey probably should have just defeated Duke Hudson to keep his dominant streak going, but fans got a better match out of this booking by the end. The Gallus leader should have his best match on NXT TV next Tuesday night against Butch. Andre Chase gave Duke Hudson a big pep talk just before this bout. Nathan Frazier laid out both men with a running clothesline and then a tope to the floor. Hudson nearly stole the win by sending Frazier to the floor and stacking up Joe, but the Gallus leader kicked out. And those were really the notable highlights of this one. This was another excellent match. This was another 3.5 to 4 star effort. So Butch and Joe Coffey next week, that's going to be something. And that's going to be a real throwback to NXT UK. So a lot of memories will be conjured up there for those NXT UK fans. So 3.5 to 4. MF, your thoughts?
Yeah, 3.5 to 4. Excellent fight. Outcome. I'm a little surprised. I really thought that maybe Nathan Frazier gets the opportunity here. But they decided to go this route. I don't mind it. I like Gallus. I'm high on Gallus. I'm high on Joe Coffey. And to see him and Butch, oh man, that's gonna be wild, man. That's gonna be insane. That's gonna be a hell of a fight. So it's gonna be a great matchup, no doubt about it. So lead into the main event of the evening, as it was Tiffany Stratton and Kiana James going up against Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria, the tag team partner for Becky Lynch. Winners of the bout in 11 minutes and 22 seconds. NXT Women's Champion Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria winning the battle, but after the match was over, Tiffany Stratton came back with an equalizer. A steel chair comes in play. She lays out Becky, had the gall to hoist the NXT Women's title, and then Becky got the mic and said, all right, you want to do that? You and me, one-on-one, no mercy, under Extreme Rules. Anthony Florio, it got personal.
Big time. No pun intended. All right. Tiffany Stratton and Kiana James attacked Becky Lynch from behind before the bell. Lyra Valkyria made the save to set up a tag team match. The man hit James with a manhandle slam, followed by the Valkyrie's diving splash to win it. After the finish, Tiffany Stratton struck Lyra Valkyria and Becky Lynch with a steel chair, and then the man demanded their rematch at No Mercy be contested under Extreme Rules, in the immortal words of the Dapper Yapper Justin Roberts, who, by the way, had a hell of a night on Grand Slam tonight. I'll explain later. It was a foregone conclusion from the opening segment that Valkyria would help Becky Lynch in the main event, but that did not take away the impact of the bout. This fight felt important and highlighted the top women in NXT. WWE put over the Valkyrie in a big way, giving her the pinfall. It would not be surprising if she was the next up for the NXT Women's Championship. She is the most credible woman outside of Tiffany Stratton to defeat Becky Lynch and dethrone Becky Lynch for the title. It looks like Becky Lynch versus Tiffany Stratton could maybe be the main event at No Mercy, especially with the added Extreme Rules stipulation. This will be a major test for the center of the universe, who has limited experience in stipulation bouts. Kiana James and Tiffany Stratton bonded backstage over making each other better. Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria looked like an experienced team. They moved together smoothly, and the man played coach on the apron when she was not competing. And the center of the universe hit a senton bomb on Valkyria. Becky barely stopped the 3 count. 3.5 stars for this one. Another great match, and what ended up being one of the best episodes of NXT this year. I mean, I know for the last 2 years, ever since this whole 2.0 thing started 2 years ago, we've, poo-pooed over it for a great majority of the weeks. But MF, when it comes to last night's show, I can't do that. And I'm not going to poo-poo over it because it was actually a good show. I can't believe I'm saying that. And it's true. So, do I start off on the overall review or do I give it back to you?
No, go ahead, Flayo. It's yours.
All right, I was just making sure. While last week was more hyped, last night's NXT might have been an even better show top to bottom. The exciting high of Becky Lynch's women's title win made this follow-up episode feel big despite less hype for the card. The man helped elevate Lyra Valkyria as a future challenger while setting the stage for an important NXT Women's Championship rematch at No Mercy. The Global Heritage Invitational reached its finals with 2 best matches of the entire tournament. Butch and Joe Coffey are big-time contenders coming off their group victories. Surprisingly, the only real down moment of the night was the overlong battle of Carmelo Hayes and Dominic Mysterio. They do not have enough chemistry for a serious feud beyond that bout. The stage has been set for No Mercy as the biggest show NXT has produced in years. That is thanks to shows like this, which continue to build the legacy of the brand and fresh top stars. So, yeah, there were a couple of matches in there, but those weren't even bad, if I'm going to be honest with you. So, I'm going to give this in excess of, I can't believe I'm saying this for an NXT show, but 8 to 8.5. Very good NXT show last night. I could even go as far as to say maybe the best NXT show of 2023 so far. Unless there were some that were better that I'm missing, but that was one of the best, if not the best. So I wish Bullock was here because, I mean, this would have been a take a bow moment for him. But, well, wherever Bullock is, take a bow anyway, son. Well done. So 8 to 8.5. MF, one of the best NXT shows of 2023, if not the best one so far.
I'll give the 8 out of 10. I would say it's definitely one of the best shows of the year. And believe it or not, it's because we had Becky Lynch, Dominic Mysterio. We had some of the guys integrating. And I know some people are like, oh, WWE talent should have no business working with NXT. Well, guess what? When you do, the show is better. So that's to all those so-called naysayers for what they say. At the end of the day, it worked, and this was an excellent show. It was very structured. It was very, very good, and it only makes me very confident that NXT can continue that momentum when we get to, especially No Mercy, where it's going to be, when you get that show coming up. So I'm ecstatic. I'm very thrilled with what they did. So really nothing more to say. Let's get into AEW Grand Slam from Arthur Ashe Stadium in New York. And here we go. We started off with a title unification bout, as it was the New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Openweight Championship and the Ring of Honor World Titles both on the line. Claudio Castagnoli, the Ring of Honor World Champion, the New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Openweight Championship, Eddie Kingston, and when it's all said and done, the winner of the bout in 15 minutes and 15 seconds, and new Ring of Honor World Champion, Eddie Kingston. He's done it. He finally got in the title that has been elusive to him for a number of years. He's been trying to get this belt for at least the last 2 years. He's done it. The culmination of it. And he does it in his own backyard in Queens, New York, Flushing Meadows, New York, which is outside of Queens, part of the 5 boroughs of New York City. Yes, I'm using my New York knowledge now. My, you can say, more than about above average knowledge of it, having family from New York. So I know the 5 boroughs really well. So absolutely a great moment for the guy from Yonkers to win the title in a 3.5-star bout. It was an amazing fight. You felt the energy. The crowd was definitely interested. And more importantly, with the history being made, the unprecedented crowning, and a unified champion, the Strong Openweight Champion, and now Ring of Honor World Champion. What a moment for Eddie Kingston. He's having quite a 2023 there, folks. So, yes, so glad for him. And he was one that I actually didn't really care about a year or so ago. I kind of thought that he was kind of an a-hole, and now look at me being so happy for this guy, man. What a turnaround 12 months can make for a character. So nothing more to say. Anthony Florio, it's yours. Eddie Kingston keeps the New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Openweight Championship, but more importantly, the new Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion.
The only criticism I have is, where was the confetti for this? I'm just saying. You know me. I was waiting for it. I was expecting it, but because they do that for big title change moments. But in all seriousness, though, all kidding aside, Eddie Kingston finally won the big one. Dynamite Grand Slam kicked off with Eddie Kingston dethroning Claudio Castagnoli in a red-hot, high-stakes bout that saw him retain his IWGP Strong Openweight title and win the Swiss Superman's Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship. It was a great showcase for the hometown hero who had repeatedly scratched and clawed his way to the top of AEW, only to be knocked down by the closest of defeats. Here tonight, he finally silenced his doubters and won the match, and in the process, earned a victory over a guy that he had historically struggled against. 2-10 in 12 previous bouts against him. The sign of respect from competitors was a nice capper to an extraordinary opener that had fans solidly behind Eddie Kingston and emotionally invested in his pursuit. There are moments that are slam dunks, and this was as easy a booking decision as there was to make. Kudos to Tony Khan for doing the right thing and giving Eddie Kingston a moment he has more than earned and deserved. The most emotionally fueled match on this card. Ian Riccaboni said that Eddie Kingston's greatest opponent is the man staring at him in the mirror, and that tonight he is fighting 2-on-1. A phenomenal call by a man who may be the best pure play-by-play guy in the business. Eddie Kingston's head whiplashed off the plexiglass covering the entrance ramp in a concerning spot. He continued the bout, but there is no way it felt good. The dramatic near falls were outstanding, with a hot crowd culminating in a spinning back fist and powerbomb that gave the hometown hero Kingston the victory. Claudio Castagnoli adhered to the code of honor, shaking hands with his sworn enemy in a cool moment for both guys. So 3.5 to 4 stars. This is one of the fights of the night for sure. Well done. Congratulations, Eddie Kingston. MF, you know his story a little bit better than I do, I'm sure. But I'll tell you what. Going into this match, I'll be honest. I had Eddie winning this match because it was Grand Slam, and I figured since both titles were on the line, I figured that Eddie was due a big moment, and he got it. Claudio had a nice run with that Ring of Honor title. He held it for a little over 9 months after he dethroned Chris Jericho last December at the Final Battle pay-per-view, where he made Chris Jericho tap out to the Cesaro swing, which was the most awesome thing I saw last year. But nonetheless, like the man or not, Claudio Castagnoli was a fantastic champion. He was a great champion, but now Eddie Kingston is the man who will now represent Ring of Honor Wrestling as the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion.
The 39th Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion and the 32nd different individual to hold the Ring of Honor World title. There's been multiple guys who's held the belt who's had multiple reigns. And as a matter of fact, Adam Cole is the only 3-time holder of the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight title. But he now joins a list that includes, I'm just gonna reel off names. I'm not saying that these are, reigns or whatnot. But Jay Lethal, Samoa Joe, Rush, Nigel McGuinness, Bryan Danielson, Austin Aries, Jay Briscoe, God rest his soul. Kevin Steen was a champion at a time. Davey Richards was a champion at a time. Of course, CM Punk or CM Punk was a champion. Low-key, the first ever Ring of Honor World Champion in the history of the company. That belt dates back all the way to 2002. And now here we are, almost 20 years later, and Eddie Kingston is now the 39th Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion.
Awesome.
So, yeah, it's a great moment. It's history. So, nothing more to say.
You forgot to did you say it, Monsoon? Did you give us the big one?
I think I did yell out history was made and unprecedented crowning. I think I did.
Okay. Yeah.
I did.
I was a little sidetracked.
No, that's okay.
So
that's okay.
I'll go back and play this back later, just to make sure. So.
Yeah. If I did, you know what? I would say it. If I didn't, then I apologize. I'm sorry for you guys because I know you guys were looking for it. But
I was.
Well, don't worry. You'll get I believe there's another moment where there is another moment. So you'll get it later. You'll get it later.
Absolutely. So 3.5. All right. So 3.5 to 4 stars. And MF, we move on now to the only match on this card that was not a championship match.
Yes, it was. It was Sammy Guevara going up against Chris Jericho one-on-one. Winner of the bout in 16 minutes and 10 seconds was Chris Jericho. But that's not even the story. Nope. It's after the match that happened. A la WrestleMania 19, where Chris Jericho and Shawn Michaels had a moment. There was a handshake, but then Sammy Guevara went dirty. Kicks Chris Jericho below the belt to drop him to the ground. And then that slithering, sneaky snake known as Don Callis showed up. Oh my God, if the Boo Birds were not out in New York, they were really pissed at that point. Anthony Florio, what do you make of this?
Wow. Well, Chris Jericho may have won the battle, but Sammy Guevara and Don Callis are well on their way to winning the war following the event of tonight's show. And it was Chris Jericho. Jericho caught a high-flying Sammy Guevara with a code breaker, countering the shooting star press to score the win. After the match, Sammy Guevara teased a show of respect before pulling a page from his mentor's book by kicking him low. Yes, we all remember this. WrestleMania 19, Safeco Field, Seattle. Chris Jericho and Shawn Michaels stole the damn show. MF could attest to that, as well as I. Even though there were multiple show stealers on that WrestleMania 19, and that's why WrestleMania 19 is considered one of the greatest WrestleManias of all time. And it's a WrestleMania, and it's also a personal favorite WrestleMania of myself and MF. So yeah, we had a lot of fun with that back in the day, and we're still talking about it 20 years later. But anyways, it was Jericho and Shawn who had the match at 19. Shawn Michaels won the match. And Jericho and Shawn had a little embrace. And then Jericho kicked Shawn below the belt and pie-faced him. Sammy Guevara went ahead and did the exact same thing to Chris Jericho here tonight. They had an embrace. And then Sammy kicking Chris Jericho below the belt. And then pie-facing him just like he did to Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 19. Cue the MF and JR soundbite from that moment. I am damn sure glad to see that. Oh, come on. And then you can cue my and Jerry Lawler's soundbite by saying, never trust those young lions. And MF and JR would say, what a blatant ass cheap shot. And what a sick, pathetic loser that Sammy Guevara has turned into here at Grand Slam. After the match of his life. Yeah, you know the bit. So, anyways, it was the arrival of Don Callis and Sammy Guevara exiting with the most despised man on the roster. That was the most noteworthy development here. Don Callis continued to make life a living hell for Jericho, presumably convincing his star pupil to betray him and join the Don Callis family. It was an important development that propels the story forward and gives fans a reason to finally invest fully in Chris Jericho as a babyface. The match was damn good to boot, continuing a recent string of strong in-ring outings for the Ocho, and delivered another shining moment for Sammy Guevara. And Guevara entered in a light-up jacket reminiscent of that previously worn by Jericho. Rapper Mont Easy played the Spanish God to the ring for one of the biggest matches of his career. Guevara also wore tights inspired by Chris Jericho's WrestleMania 19 gear. Chris Jericho slapped his protege early as tensions wasted no time mounting. The finish was fantastic with some great timing, really executed to perfection visually. Another 4-star match. Another 3.5 to 4-star match. So there isn't much more to say. MF, what a callback to WrestleMania 19. The minute I saw that the memory conjured up.
Yeah, I would not have been surprised if that memory was conjured up. It was a solid match. There's no doubt about it. I cannot believe that happened. I cannot believe we saw what we saw. But at the end of the day, it was, as you said, it was quite a story. So, were we surprised? Yeah, in a way, I was. But at the end of the day, you can't go any better than what they did. So, I mean, yeah, unbelievable. What a turn of events. And so, yeah, winner of the bout. A hell of a main event, to say the very hell of a match, and we'll see how this plays out down the line. So next up we had was the International Championship on the line, as it was Jon Moxley versus Rey Fenix, winner of the bout in 11 minutes and 35 seconds, and new International Champion Rey Fenix. All right. I think this might have been a botch. There's a lot of rumors going around that this might have been a false finish, that there was a little bit of a mess at the end of this bout. It looked like Rick Knox might have blown the pin on the 1, 2, 3. I don't know. It seems like something happened after the inverted pile driver happened. He went for the pin, 1, 2, and then I guess the ref stopped the count. And I don't know. I don't think that was supposed to have been the finish. Then they did it again. Then they got the 1, 2, 3. Trainers came out immediately to check on Jon Moxley. It's now being reported, and this is coming from Sean Ross Sapp and from others, Jon Moxley is under concussion protocol. This is being reported. This came out, I want to say, about a half an hour ago, around 10:15. It is being reported Jon Moxley may have suffered a concussion. This might have been a false finish. We don't know. So 11:35 is the time of the fall. Obviously, history made, unprecedented crowning. We got a new champion in a 3.5-star bout. Anthony Florio, Rey Fenix, the international champion, after he defeats Jon Moxley here tonight.
This was the shocker of the night here. I did not see this coming. I really didn't. I honestly thought Jon Moxley was going to successfully defend here, considering that he had only won the title 17 days ago. So Jon Moxley now holds the record for the shortest international title reign since that title came into perception. I mean, he only had it for 17 days. Can you imagine that? Just 17 days. That's very weird, but okay. The last time Rey Fenix shared the ring with Jon Moxley, he was carried out of the arena on a stretcher, forcing him to miss All In at Wembley in London. On this night in Flushing, the Lucha Bro got a measure of revenge, pinning Jon Moxley to win the AEW International Championship after driving Moxley into the mat with 2 Phoenix drivers. While the match was not to the level of their previous encounter, it was still wrestled strongly and featured a great performance from an intense Rey Fenix. There will be questions about the health of Jon Moxley after the first Phoenix driver left him apparently unable to kick out. And Excalibur mentioned a scary moment in the closing moments of the bout before revealing that the now former champion was able to exit under his own accord. If the outcome was improvised to accommodate an injury, that's one thing. If Phoenix was the intended victor, I hate to say it, it was a poor booking decision that devalued the all-out main event and Jon Moxley ending the historic title reign of Orange Cassidy. Rey Fenix will produce strong matches, yes, but it suddenly looks as though there was no follow-up to Orange Cassidy's reign coming to an unnecessary conclusion. Rey Fenix launched himself off the entrance ramp, wiping Moxley out at ringside in a hell of a spot at the top of the bout. The challenger's frog splash might be the best in the business, just picture perfect. This was an aggressive Rey Fenix, a nice change of pace. The high-flying stuff was there, but the strikes were more purposeful, and he wrestled with a greater sense of urgency. The first pile driver and the botched count hurt the finish, but the outcome was still a surprise, for better or worse. But nonetheless, I'll take my hat off to Rey Fenix. I mean, I love when Justin Roberts does that. And I mentioned Justin Roberts earlier. The way he introduced both of these guys tonight with the Jon Moxley, you know how much you know I've always loved that. And then of course Rey Fenix. I mean, that's why he's the man. So, awesome. And love those intros. And a little disappointing. I was expecting a banger here, but I think that injury might have had something to do with it, with the abrupt ending. But still, a very good match here. 3 1/4, 3.5. That's the best we can go on this one. But nonetheless, surprising outcome. Like I said, MF, I did not expect Rey Fenix to win the title here tonight. I thought Moxley was going to successfully defend after Phoenix probably gave him the hardest bout yet. But no, Rey Fenix, new international champion. Shocker of the night. So with that being said, MF, we move on from the international championship to the AEW Women's World Championship.
And it is Saraya versus Toni Storm. And Saraya wins the match, successfully defending the title in 8 minutes and 30 seconds. Anthony, it's yours.
By default, this is the worst fight of the night. Even though it was not remotely bad at all. 2.5 to 3. 2.5 to 3. That's the best I can go on this one. There is an argument to be made that Saraya retaining was the least interesting potential outcome for the bout, but it feels like there is still plenty of time and interest in Toni Storm's immensely entertaining persona to build it up a bit more before putting her over for the title. The question is where the women's division goes until that happens. Are there enough interesting challengers and stories to be told in the interim? And how can the creative team better enhance Saraya as a champion to take advantage of her name and star power? Those are the answers Tony Khan and his team will have to discover in the coming weeks. Toni Storm using shoes on Ruby Soho weakened the effect of the challenger using a shoe on Saraya. Less is more in the near fall off of that final shot to the face with a pump by Storm. Would have meant even more if the crowd had not been busy popping for the use of shoes on Ruby at ringside. Toni Storm kissing Saraya, then dropping her with Storm Zero was certainly a choice, and if nothing else, a great way to play mind games with an already shaken champion. The challenger tried for the running hip attack, but Saraya dodged it and dropped her with the nightcap to retain. No, I'm not surprised by the outcome here. I mean, this was Saraya's first title defense after winning the title nearly a month ago at Wembley. All in, that great moment for her and her family, and that's all I can say on that. So, by default, the worst fight of the night, even though it was not remotely bad at all. 2.5. to 3. That's the best I can go. So, MF, no surprise, Saraya successfully defended, considering it was her first title defense.
Yeah, no, this was pretty good. So there's really nothing more for us to say. This was as a very good main event, very good fight. Um, the outcome was not a big surprise, and there was parts in the match that it did look a little sloppy. It didn't work. It wasn't amazing, and should have been better than what it was. But at the end of the day, um, it is what it is. So there's really nothing more to there's really nothing more to have. So at the end, you know, it's the outcome that we expected. It's the outcome that that happened, and I think a lot of people wanted Tony to win the title, but at the end of the day, you know, at the end of the day, that's how it goes. So nothing more to say. Led us to the main event of the evening: Samoa Joe versus MJF. MJF winning the match in 18 minutes and 40 seconds to successfully defend the AEW World Title. Fine main event, fine battle. Another 3.5 to 4 stars, and this one was really good. So I really got nothing more to say. Congratulations to the winner and MJF for staying with the belt. Hell of a main event, but there's really nothing more to add. So yeah, it was a main event. So I don't know. There's really nothing more to say. So Anthony, it's yours. This was a hell of a main event.
4.25, teetering on 4.5. Fight of the night for me. AEW World Heavyweight Champion MJF proved resilient throughout his defense against Samoa Joe in tonight's main event, just long enough for Adam Cole to make his presence felt, will him out of the Coquita clutch, and provide him the steel chain that helped him choke out the challenger and retain the title. MJF proving once again that he might be the best babyface in the entire company, endured a hell of a beating from the challenger, but refused to give in. Fueled by his desire to remain champion in a home state crowd, he fought through the pain and agony coursing through his body, and by hook or crook, defeated Samoa Joe to keep his AEW World Heavyweight title reign intact 305 days and counting. The outcome stays true to the champion's underhanded history, despite his current role, and protects the unstoppable aura of Samoa Joe. It also continues the friendship between the Brochachos and ensures their story will remain a key element of AEW moving into the latter part of 2023. A strong main event performance from the company's MVP and MJF, and another stellar outing for Samoa Joe, who is quickly becoming one of the best heels in the industry. Joe disrespecting MJF and the champ firing up was a great bit of business and got the fans back into the match after several minutes of the heel dominating. The heel cut off the comeback and drove MJF through a table at ringside as Taz reiterated his belief that it was Joe's night. The challenger delivered a pile driver on the exposed concrete. Doctors and security surrounded the champion only for Joe to intimidate and fight them off. The look of shock on his face when MJF kicked out helped sell the story of the bout. Great stuff from the veteran competitor. Still reeling from his injured neck, MJF pulled out the Dynamite Diamond ring and attempted to use it, only for senior referee Paul Turner to catch him. Joe delivered the muscle buster, but still could not put the devil away. Again, his facial expressions were absolutely key to getting over the narrative here. MJF used the chain, covered it up with his arms, and choked out Samoa Joe to retain the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. Fight of the night for me, 4.25, teetering on 4.5 stars. Overall thoughts on this edition of AEW Dynamite? At least 9, maybe 9.5 out of 10. This was an episode of Dynamite chock full of big moments and title changes. Eddie Kingston winning the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship. Sammy Guevara's heel turn and joining the Don Callis family. Rey Fenix defeating Jon Moxley for the International Championship. Saraya retaining the Women's Championship. And MJF slaying the beast that is Samoa Joe helped make this a noteworthy show that may not have been the spectacle that Grand Slam was 2 years ago, but still felt like a broadcast deserving of the hype. With the Wrestle Dream pay-per-view upcoming on October 1 in Seattle, it kind of hurts the long-term impact of this broadcast to an extent, but the company has done a strong job of making the annual trek to Arthur Ashe Stadium feel like a marquee event. Strong in-ring action across the board helps. Every match was solid to good to great. Nothing bad on this show whatsoever. The international and women's matches could have been better, but you know, it was what it was. But there isn't much more for me to say on this. At least somewhere between 9 and 9.5 for me. Fantastic Dynamite. I mean, I had a great feeling about this show going in, and boy howdy, I'm not surprised that it ended up delivering in spades and then some. So, Tony Khan and crew, take a bow. Fantastic show tonight. And that crowd at Arthur Ashe Stadium taking home some memories tonight, even though they're still there because they're taping Rampage right now. So, because, you know, we're going to get that big 2-hour Rampage Grand Slam show Friday night, 10 p.m. on TNT. So, one of the very rare times that I'm actually going to be taking the time to actually watch a Rampage. I usually don't, but in this case, this is one of the rare times I will. So not much more to say on this. 9, at least 9, maybe 9.5, but I think it's more at least the 9. So no doubt about it. So MF, take this home, and then we'll get into tomorrow night's Thursday night football game.
Yeah, no, 9 out of 10. This was a solid show, to say the very least. There's really nothing more to add. This was an incredible show, and to say the very least, now it does lead us to our main event of the evening, which is the NFL, as we start Thursday night football, and we got ourselves, well, an interesting battle here, as it will be the New York Football Giants versus the San Francisco 49ers, as they'll be from Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, California. The game is exclusively on Prime Video. You know who does it. It is Al Michaels, Kirk Kirkstreet, and Kaylee Hartung. They will be doing it for the game itself, and the Niners are a 10-point favorite going into the battle. And for the history of this battle,
I have it. I have everything this time, MF.
All right.
Last week was a 1 week only thing. I've got my schematics ready to go.
Oh, okay, cool. Then I'll hold off. But at the end of the day, so let's say it. It's going to be an interesting battle. And look, going into this, I was going to pick the Niners anyway. Now it gets extradited because of the fact that Saquon Barkley, who suffered an ankle injury, and it's just a regular ankle injury, it's not a major one, so he's only going to be out maybe 2 to 3 weeks. However, he's not playing tomorrow night. He is out, officially been ruled out. That's a major loss. There might be a bad situation for them because it sounds like Brandon Ayuk might not play either. Brandon Ayuk suffered an injury during the week. He is listed as questionable, but there are a couple of reports that's coming out, and one from Adam Schefter saying that there's a very good chance Ayuk might not play. If he doesn't go, that should be, even though that's a bad loss because you want to have Brandon Ayuk out there, but you still have enough weapons that the Niners should be able to overcome it. It's not a major loss. It is more of a nuisance than a major loss. I do believe the Niners will dominate this game. It will not be close. 10 points is not even enough. I think this is going to be somewhere in the range of 31-14 is my final score. I got the San Francisco 49ers having no problems with the New York Giants. Anthony, it's yours.
All right. MF, you got everything here. San Francisco opening up as a 10-point favorite in this one. And series history, believe it or not, we go by regular season because this is the regular season. This is not the playoffs. It's tied, MF. 17-17. And you know what else is interesting? The playoff series is also tied 4-4. So overall, it's 21-21 overall. It's tied both ways. But we're talking about regular season here. 17-17. Their last meeting was 2020 in New York. San Francisco kicked down the door at MetLife and made themselves at home. 36-9 beatdown of the Giants at MetLife 2020. Last meeting in San Francisco was 2018, and the Giants actually won that game 27-23. 49ers last beat the Giants at home the year before, 2017. That was a 31-21 final. So not much more to say on that. So, oh yes, and I can't forget. Remember, Amazon Prime Video game here. Now, what that means, they're only for the people of New York and San Francisco. If for the people in New York and San Fran, if any of you out there in those areas do not have Amazon Prime Video, no problem. For the people of New York, this game will be simulcast on WNYW Fox Channel 5. That's the New York affiliate of Fox. And for San Francisco, you can watch it on your Fox affiliate, KTVU Fox Channel 2 in San Francisco. So there's that. I'll have another one of these on Friday night for one of the Monday night games. I'll address that on Friday night. Anywho, getting into this. The Giants pulled off, MF, I'm surprised you didn't mention this. The Giants pulled off an incredible 21-point comeback this past Sunday against Arizona. But Saquon Barkley with an ankle might not be ready on a short week. And the 49ers have the league's best rushing defense through 2 weeks, 41 yards a game allowed. 41. That's it. If Saquon Barkley is unable to go, then San Francisco's pass rush will impact Daniel Jones. Look for San Francisco's offense to do the rest, even if that 10-point spread seems risky. And you almost had the final score, MF. I'm right there with you, but I got it just a smidgen higher. I do agree with you with San Francisco winning. You said 31-14. My final score is San Francisco wins 31-17. That's my final score. But I'm with you, MF. I got the San Francisco 49ers winning this game tomorrow night. And we got to discuss our own NFL games after we're done here. So with all that being said, MF, take it home and set up the future content, including tomorrow night, College Football Thursday, setting up for what I'm calling Smorgasbord Saturday.
Yes, indeed. We'll start that off at 10 p.m. Eastern, right on the Tone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. And then Friday night is actually NFL Friday. We're doing that at 10 p.m. as well. Saturday, we're back to the 10:30s with Cerebral Smack Talk, as well as SmackDown Live. We'll have AEW Collision, and then we do it all over again with Ridiculously Raw Monday night. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. Like the video, leave a comment, share with all your friends on all the social media platforms around the world, and we'll see you guys tomorrow night for another edition of College Football Thursday and Smorgasbord Saturday. So long, everybody.
Goodbye.